So you think you can tell heaven from hell, blue skies from pain? Can you tell a green field from a cold steel rail? A smile from a veil. Do you think you can tell? Did they get you to trade your heroes for ghosts? Hot ashes for trees, hot air for cool breeze, cold comfort for change. Or did you exchange a walk-on part of the war for a lead role in hate?
Wow. Hi, everyone, and welcome to We Are a Crotchety Old Man, Silence, and a Woman, the podcast for you, with you, and sometimes even about you. I am going a little nerdy here. I'm going a little Han today. What is Han? Han Solo. I'm all by myself today, as Abigail is in Florida right now at a work conference, and she was swamped today, very tired. So I'm all alone. So I wanted to find a little song for her. So I found "Wish You Were Here," originally a Pink Floyd song, but I actually found a version by Miley Cyrus that I kind of like. So I decided I would use that. So thank you, Miley Cyrus, for "Wish You Were Here," because I do wish Abigail was here, because she definitely makes this podcast a lot more fun. And I actually have a lot of questions I could throw off of her because she knows what she's doing and I don't. Yeah. So this might be very fast. This could be the best or worst podcast. I'm hoping somewhere in the middle. Well, let's get started, everyone. It's two National Food Days. It is both National Brownie Day and National Lard Day. Yes. And if you eat a lot of brownies, you will be a lard ass. And I'm getting close. In fact, hold on. I'm opening the package. Okay. I'm going to break this in half here. I'm not going to eat the whole thing. So I went to Food Line this afternoon, got myself a brownie. Once I saw it was National Brownie Day, I went and got myself a brownie. Who knows how old this is, and it's mass produced. It's not even like a Drake's Cakes, or anything else. It's actually Food Line brand brownies. So, let me oh, yeah. Oh, mm-hmm. Okay, that's very chewy, very, very thick. Um, okay, not bad. Uh, it was that was actually a chocolate chip brownie. I'm reading the package, and it definitely goes well with basement coffee. Now, this coffee I'm drinking, this is about 4 or 5 hours old basement coffee, but still the best coffee you can have in a basement, and it's just regular basement coffee, not anything crazy. I made a whole pot of it because I'm by myself, and I drink a lot of coffee when Abigail's not here. Mm. Basement coffee, and it's actually a little cold too. Anyway, so, hopefully you haven't turned me off already. Wanted to go into some history. Who's ready for some history? We have today, actually, a lot of cool stuff happened today, but I'm only going to get to the stuff that I like. I'm not going to go into some of the political stuff, and of course, some of it I will. But the first one, which is actually one of the most important events in U.S. history, actually, two of the most important events in U.S. history happened today. And probably no one even knows. That's the sad part. Number one, 1776. George Washington crosses the Delaware. Now, a lot of people actually think that George Washington was crossing the Delaware to fight the English. Actually, no. The famous picture with him on the bow of the ship with the American flag flying in the background, he was actually retreating. from the British. So he was able to cross a ice-covered um, Delaware River from New Jersey to Pennsylvania, where they eventually went and they camped for the winter at Valley Forge. Very famous. Where at Valley Forge, he actually was able to retrain a lot of his troops, but there was a lot of people leaving. There was a lot of starvation. Um, I, I even learned a lot about how officers and enlisted men were treated totally different, where officers actually stayed at people's homes and had fireplaces and ate well, while these some of the just the guys in the military, you know, the they weren't conscripted, the volunteers. I mean, they were eating their boots. I mean, that's how bad it was. And of course, it would just happen to be some of the worst snow ever. But they actually stopped fighting until uh, Christmas Day, when the Americans, when actually, I'm sorry, the colonists went across the river again. And hopefully, we do a whole thing on this because I love it. You know, they went over, and General Mercer led a group, and they actually surprised the Hessians, who were actually um, German soldiers that England actually was using there. So pretty interesting that they fought the Hessians, and the Hessians were drunk, and they were actually an amazing army. Um, but fascinating story. So that, but if they didn't escape, it was over. So there would be no America. Another huge event. Hopefully, some of you knew that yesterday was Pearl Harbor Day. Sadly, once again, the day that lived in infamy, a lot of people have forgotten. It's kind of, maybe in, 50, 60 years, people will totally forget about, September 11th, where actually it was interesting. We went out last night and someone actually said, what year was that? It's like, oh my God, September 11th, people, they were like, what year was it? That's scary how quickly we forget these things. But today was the day after. England and the United States immediately declared war on Japan. Germany was not part of that, which is amazing. So Hitler and the Nazis, they did not want Japan to not invade, but attack the United States. But Japan realized Admiral Yamamoto, who actually did the planning, who lived in in the United States, he knew the only way they could win was to buy time against the United States. And if they could take out their Navy, especially the carriers, then they would be able to gain time where they could get footholds all over Southeast Asia even more, possibly taking Australia, possibly going into India, and then sue for peace with the United States. That was the only way they can win. But thank goodness for history, our carriers were not in Pearl Harbor, and they were out to sea. Still, sadly, thousands of Americans were killed. In fact, just yesterday, yesterday I read that the last surviving, no longer surviving, um, seaman from the USS Arizona, that is the famous monument in Pearl Harbor still. Um, he actually died. He was the last living seaman there, and he died. He was 102 years old. So now there are no more survivors, which is kind of sad. But he passed on. If if you don't really know what happened, you're not a history nerd like I am. If you get a chance, it's on every usually on like Turner Classic Movies. Watch Tora Tora Tora. Great movie, offers both perspectives. Of course, it leans to the United States. It's an American movie, but did show the planning, the how to, the why that Japan attacked. It wasn't that they were just these cold barbarians who wanted to destroy the United States. They knew that the United States would be a force to be reckoned with, and they had to try to knock them out early, and it didn't happen. But great movie. If you don't see that one or either of the Midway movies, there was one that came out maybe in the 80s, I think, 70s, 80s. Charlton Heston's in that one. And then another recent one was in 2019 that came out. Both of them actually, the older one I think does a better job. Yes, most of the movie is about Midway, but the very first half hour of each movie has to be dedicated to Pearl Harbor. Very important. Do not watch the latest Pearl Harbor movie with Ben Affleck. Pure garbage, complete. I'm not going to say wokeness because it didn't really exist there, but it was bad. It was bad. They were like making stuff up in that movie left and right, things that just did not happen. One of the most famous sailors actually was a cook. If you ever, amazing because he was African American or black, depending on which, how it's said today. I don't even know anymore. He was a cook and he was on the Arizona. He gets out there. He's actually firing the machine guns on deck and he actually shoots down a few planes before he jumps overboard. And he's always recognized because he wasn't trained to do that and he was doing it. So that was 1941, very important. So today was the speech, today is the day that will live in infamy by Roosevelt. So very important speech, got America into the war. Other countries also declared war against Japan because now Germany was already fighting England. Japan, and I'm sorry, England really wasn't. There were times in China and part of the Asian side of the war that was going on that England was involved, but not directly. It was more indirectly because they had a lot of uh, colonies there, things along those lines. Anyway, 2002, moving briskly ahead. Do you remember Brittny Griner? Oh, this is where I wish Abigail was here. Yeah, this is when the day Brittny Griner was released by the Russians in a great trade for the Russians. They got Victor Bout, who was an arms dealer. So we got a WNBA All Star for a arms dealer who's still killing people, primarily in the Ukraine, but yeah, and I believe, and I could totally be wrong. So if I am, feel free to reach out to me and let me know you are wrong, Arden. That there are still two more prisoners in Russia that have not been released. But and Joe Biden took a lot of credit for that. And then today, so next year, if we did one on the same day, we will talk about in Syria, President Bashir Assad. He was overthrown in Syria today, and he fled to Moscow. Um, and who knows? But here's the amazing part. So Joe Biden actually is sort of taking credit for it. And I've watched a lot of different channels on, I wasn't just sitting there watching my extreme right wing TV shows, as my brother likes to say. I actually watched a little C SPAN, a little MSNBC, a little CNN about it. They don't know really a lot, or I'm sorry, the media does not know a lot about who actually is taking over. It could be members of ISIS. So taking it back, but there's a lot of celebrations there. Let's see how long it lasts. It could be bad because we're over there still. People forget, we're still flying missions over there for our Air Force. So that's what's going on as far as this day in history. Yesterday, besides being Pearl Harbor Day, I don't know if once again where's Abigail when I need her. If she saw a lot about the Notre Dame being reopened. Yeah, so Notre Dame burned down 5 years ago. So, it had been around for almost 1,000 years. I mean, so it was a beautiful cathedral. You had the movies about it, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, just everything about it. It burns down, and 5 years later, it's rebuilt, and it looks amazing. They did. I actually saw one thing where they had a drone fly in and all around into the rafters and everything. Absolutely amazing. It's gorgeous. But what I cared more about was the all of the political leaders that went to it, and some of it I thought was great. It was almost like there was like a pageantry to it. I mean, you had Emmanuel Macron meeting with Donald Trump coming in. I was kind of surprised that Biden didn't go to this. It's kind of a layup for it, but it was what it was. But I don't think Trump would have went if Biden had went. So maybe one of them, said, I'm going first. But, so while Trudeau is meeting, I'm sorry, Macron, oh, Trudeau, same type of guy, almost twins. Um, when Macron was meeting with Trump, also, Vladimir Zelensky comes there. And so I'm like, why is Zelensky there? What does he do? Now, we just found out like last week that he just paid $83 million to own a hotel. Congratulations. Your country is fighting a war for its existence, and you're buying real estate in France. What the fraggle monkey's going on with that? But yeah, so that's unbelievable. Hopefully Trump just said, dude, you ain't getting any money. I ain't giving you nothing buying hotels in France. You're investing in France. We're going to try while your people are being killed. But it was pretty amazing. Yeah, it's never been on my bucket list of things to see, but just seeing like the timescape of how long it's actually been around, how many famous people in European history have been there. Hey, I wonder if our friend from Finland, if he actually or she, we don't know who it is. They don't reach out to us. Reach out to us at crotchety old men on X at crotchety old men, or we are crotchety old men at gmail.com. Reach out to us, person from Finland. um, yeah, who we always see pops up like almost immediately. Um, yeah, so if they've been there, don't know who actually has that on their wish list. Now, one thing sorry, I was easily distracted, as you could tell, just a normal day in my life. Uh, Abigail actually just sent me. Hold on, I got my thing here. Hold on. I'm reading her text because normally we have our Ask Abigail segment, but as you know, we can't have an Ask Abigail segment today, so we have an Ask Arden segment. And Abigail asks, um, as per yesterday, last night we went out and I met one of her nephews. As per yesterday, the conversation of where you have lived since you moved down there. Abigail says, where the hell have you been living all your life? So, okay. Since 2006, it's been a lot, but I will try to go quickly. So, started out in New Jersey, lived in Teaneck, New Jersey, then into New York, where I went to college, then graduated college, moved to Maryland, lived in Maryland for a couple years, back to New Jersey, moved to Bogota, New Jersey. Then I moved down to Virginia, in Fairfax, Virginia. Then I moved to Herndon. Then I moved to Burke, Virginia. Then I moved back to Herndon, Virginia. Then lived there for a year. Went and moved to another apartment in Herndon, Virginia. Then moved to Centerville, Virginia, and now Sterling, Virginia. Yeah, so I'm bouncing around, but I seem to keep ending up in liberal areas of the country. I don't know how I keep ending up in ultra liberal areas of the country. One of these days, I would like to go to a really ultra conservative area and just be like, oh my, you know. But where we live now is it's amazing. Um, Abigail, when she gets back, is going to be focusing 100% on the on her Christmas party. I'm calling it her Christmas party. I actually don't know how many Christmas parties she's thrown. It'll be my third that I've gone to, but I get like a little host credit for it. So it says Abigail and Arden's Christmas party. So I will be going. I have to go because I live here. My mom's going to be here. My brother, his wife, a couple of my friends are going to be here. So it should be fun. Fun. What is fun? Um, but it's going to be fun. But we have she's got a lot of alcohol that needs to be purchased. Important stuff. She's making punch. No, there's going to be a lot of good stuff there. A lot of good food, a lot of stuff. But I actually promised Alfred's wife, I just promised her some pictures, and I got to send her pictures. And Alfred's wife, she actually emailed me. She would like to do ask she actually wants to do a true and false with Abigail next week. And I was like, yeah, of course you can. Because her favorite episode is the true and false about dogs. That was a few episodes back. I love that one. And I said we should do cats, but Abigail hates cats, because they're awesome. I'm a cat nerd. But anyway, yeah. So I'm going to try to arrange that so we could do a true and false. So we don't have a true and false segment this week, which is kind of sad. So I get to just talk about random shit right now, which is kind of fun. So I was looking at this is all my personal point of view, no one else's. This is me formulating opinions on whatever because I think I should state that, and I do not speak for Abigail. I only speak for myself. I wanted to talk a little bit about the pardons. So, I mean, last week we had the Hunter Biden pardon for crimes that he committed and crimes that he may have committed going back 10 years to where he was on the board of Burisma, which is incredible. And it's a blanket pardon, so he can't do anything against it. But listening to a couple of lawyers and judges, and I've actually heard that he by accepting the pardon somehow, he has no longer has the Fifth Amendment protection. So if there's another investigation somewhere else, not about him, but about someone else, um, then if he is called to testify, he cannot use the Fifth Amendment, which I found very interesting. So if he perjures himself, then the pardon would be you can't do a pardon for the future. You could only do the pardon for a certain date. So he would not be able to do that. Listening to all of these other people, I mean, I couldn't believe. I doubt it. I can't. Do I see Joe Biden pardoning like his brother, pardoning other members of his family, pardoning other people like Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, all of these other people who took part, Anthony Fauci? Uh, do I see if he does that? There is, I mean, yes, the president has the right to do it. Should he do it? Um, I mean, he's right now, I mean, God, he would really be the worst president in history. But at his age, he probably doesn't care. He's protecting his family and protecting his friends. But man, I mean, that's just like an admission of guilt, if this happens, if he pardons these people for nothing. By the way, like they have not been, they've committed no crimes as of right now. There is no investigations going on about these people. But if he proactively pardons them, I think that would be really, really bad. What else would be bad? The whole thing about Pete Hegseth. It's amazing how many people believe the first thing they hear. That he's a womanizer, he's an alcoholic, he's this, he's this, he's this. If you hear it, a lot of this is coming from the Republican establishment, the John Bolton types. They're the ones pushing this. My favorite, though, were the guys on CNN saying, oh my God, he was drinking at 10 a.m. during one of his shows. He does like this show where he was meeting a bunch of other veterans and they get together. But he was drinking. Oh my. Meanwhile, on New Year's last year, they were doing shots on New Year's live on TV. So here they are, holier than thou. That was my mom pick. That's a grandma term. Them saying, "Oh, he was drinking on the air, possibly," and yet they were doing shots on national TV live on the air. So the hypocrisy is crazy. All these people who had affairs. I don't know his story. I don't need to know his backstory with that. What did he serve honorably in the military? According to everything I've seen, yes, he did. He was in the military for 20 years. The tattoo he has is a Jerusalem cross. It is not some racial thing. These are the same people that were complaining about the Betsy Ross flag. Remember, this neo-Nazi people, they use a Betsy Ross flag as their symbol. So I have a Betsy Ross flag, I'm all of a sudden a right-wing extremist. So these are the same people. It's the Jerusalem flag. It's a big cross with four crosses in each quadrant, I guess. Say so, one on the right, one on the left, on the bottom. So it's four crosses and one other big cross. That's what it is. It's over his heart. He also, they don't talk about his "We the People" tattoo that's up his arm. This guy, he has two bronze stars for heroism, and he won a Purple Heart, and he has done a lot. And they talk about, this one group that he didn't run very well. Okay, well, that happens. At least he was running something. He wasn't a career politician, or in a lot of cases for some of these anchors, like they were trust fund babies that get jobs like this. They're not building companies from scratch. Most of these haven't done it. Yeah, so that's what I got going on. It would be fun to actually do a true and false by myself, where I actually ask the audience true or false questions, but don't really have that much time for it. So it's Sunday night. It's kind of late actually on a Sunday night. I will have this out. And let's see, the basically we are Abigail is coming back later next week. The dogs are already can't wait to see her. She's already missed. It's amazing. Dogs. Yep. They have to depend on me. Yikes. So yeah, they get more cuddle time with their mom than me, because I am allergic to them, so they don't get that much cuddle time. But I was playing with them outside. That was fun. Let's see. So she'll be back at the end of next week. Then we're picking up my mom. We're driving up to New Jersey, like Friday, like 4 a.m. Then driving back Friday morning. So we're just throwing my mom. Grandma, get the heck in the car. We're just gonna throw your walker in there. We'll throw your cane in there. Here are your pills. Get in the damn car. So that's going to be the following Friday, and then the party's the following Saturday. So we are 13 days away as of right now from the party. Dun, dun, dun. And then it's Christmas. Best time of the year. Our house is packed. Got all of the. I'm thinking about putting some of the pictures on our Twitter account. So feel free, if you're on Twitter. It's just at crotchety old men. It's got my big old dorky face on it. Take a look. I'll put some of our pictures out there. We also are starting our talks about next year. What are people interested in? Last year, people were asking us to do more political stuff, and we have. In fact, we've gone full bore in political stuff. Next year, I think we're going to have a lot more interaction with other people now that they see what we do. I think we're also going to start doing a lot more social media. We have a couple people who've offered to volunteer when they can and if they can. So that's kind of where we are. Abigail, like I said, I wish you were here. And everyone, I hope it was entertaining and hopefully you learned something. Have a great day. Yeah, Abigail, wish you were here for a little basement coffee.